Welcome everybody in today's session. So, we should now first of all meet our narrator. So, our narrator is Ginny. Her name is Ginny. So, she will illustrate you the whole chapter for your convenience. So, we should now go through the chapter. So, we should now go through the chapter first of all by the knowing of the name. So, the name of the chapter is The name of the lesson is In the Kingdom of Fools. It is a very well known story in the state of Karnataka. This is a Kannada folk tale. It is written by a well known author, A.K. Ramanujan. So now we should go through the lesson. Introduction to the lesson. First of all, we will have an intro of the lesson. So, this is a lesson written in Kannada language. Kannada is a regional language mainly spoken in the state of Karnataka. This story is a Kannada folk tale. As I told you earlier that it is a Kannada's folk tale. So, it is a Kannada folk tale. Folk tale is a story which is passed on from one generation to another. It is taken from the book Folk Tales from India, a book named Folk Tales from India, written by A.K. Ramanujan. So, first of all, we should now discuss the title of the story. The title of the story is In the Kingdom of Fools, which means the state or city where the people are not so wise, they are not intelligent. In the story, the king and his ministers and his advisors are fools. That means they are not wise and intelligent. When this kind of people rule the kingdom, then what all happens has been told in this story. So, not wise and not are intelligent. So, the people of this state is not intelligent, they are unintelligent. So, now let's see what happens in the story. So, in the kingdom of fools, both the king and the ministers were idiots. They didn't want to run things like other kings. So they decided to change night into day and day into night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night until their fields and run their businesses only after dark and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. Punished with death means they will be, if anyone disobeyed, if anyone annoyed their restrictions, would be punished with death. They will have to hung up on it. They will be dead. So the king wanted that everyone should be awake at night and do their work, till their fields and run their businesses. And at daytime they will sleep as they do in night. So, by listening this only we can see and we can tell that the king was a very foolish man. So, we should now the people were scared that if they did not obey the king's order, they would be sentenced with death penalty. So they obeyed the order, although it was very strange. The king and his minister, but both were fools and were very happy that all the people in the kingdom were following their order. So they were very happy to see that all the people in the kingdom were following their order willingly. So they were feeling very happy, and they didn't know that the people were scared that if we not obey the king's order, we will be have a death penalty. So they were scared, but the king and the minister feels that they were doing this all willingly, but they were doing this because of a scaredness of death penalty. So the idiot means the people who are not intelligent, yeah. One day, a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. Everyone was asleep, and not a mouse stirring. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. So one day a guru means a saint, a person who does prayer to the god, saint. So a guru and his disciple means the guru's student. So the guru and his disciple arrived in the city in the kingdom of fools. So he saw that the city was very beautiful, but no one was about. No one was steering air there. Steering means moving around. They were surprised to see that. So they were very amazed that why the people are not there at the daytime. So now we will see. So the two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them and wandered around till town evening, when suddenly the whole town woke up and went its nightly business. The guru and his disciple were very hungry. When the shops opened at night, they went to buy groceries. So the guru and his disciple was shocked, surprised, amazed that no one wandering in the evening. They were not tilling their fields. Tilling their fields means cultivating their fields. When suddenly the whole town woke up and starts its nightly business, the guru and were amazed, shocked that they were working at night and sleeping at the day. So the guru and disciple was very hungry, and the shops opened to night, and they went to buy groceries. Pranam Guruji. They were surprised to see that whatever they bought from the shop costed one doodoo. The things were very cheap out there. Whether you buy a big bunch of bananas or you buy a big bag of rice, it costed only one doodoo. Everything was at the same price in the kingdom of fools. So the guru and his disciple were surprised that only one doodoo for a big bunch of banana or a bag of rice. So they were very surprised and amazed that in the kingdom of fools, everything is very foolish. Means everything is going on in a foolish way. The cost of anything is only one doodoo. One doodoo means 1 rupees in Kannada language. The guru and his disciple were very happy because the food in this kingdom was very cheap. You could buy a lot of food for just 1 rupee. When the guru and his disciple cooked and ate their food, they realized that kingdom was a kingdom of fools and decided not to stay there any longer. It was unsafe for them. This is no place for us. Let's go, he said to his disciple. The disciple was a foodie. He loved to eat food. That is why he did not want to leave this place. Because of the food, because the food was very cheap there. Guru tried to make his disciple understand and told him that everyone out there was a fool and are very dangerous. The kingdom would not last for a long time and they could harm them too. This disciple is not foresighted like his guru and could not understand what his guru was trying to say. He wanted to live there only and enjoy the cheap food. The guru finally gave up and said, "Do what you want. I am going," and left. The disciple stayed on, ate his fill every day bananas, ghee, and rice and wheat, and grew fat like a street bull. One bright day, a thief broke out into the rich merchant's house. He made a hole in the wall and sneaked in. And as he was carrying out his loot, the wall and the old house collapsed on his head and killed him on the spot. His brother ran to the king and complained, "Your Highness, my brother was pursuing his ancient trade. A wall fell on him and killed. This merchant is to be blamed. He should have built a good, strong wall. You must punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for the injustice." So, the thief's brother, came to the king and said that, "Your Highness, my brother was pursuing," means following. His brother was doing his theft, means ancient trade, means the work which is going on to the generation to another generation. So one day he was doing his ancient work, but a wall fell on him and killed him. So the man whose houses have built with weak wall should be punished, and the wrongdoer should be punished, and compensation should be done with the family because of the injustice. The king said, "Justice will be done, don't worry," and at once summoned the owner of the house. Summon means to call upon someone. So the king said, "Justice will be done, don't worry," and he called the owner of the house. So when the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, "What's your name?" He said, "Such and such, your Highness." "Were you at home when the dead man burgled your house?" "Yes, my lord, he broke in, and the wall was weak. It fell on him." The accused pleads guilty. "Your wall killed the man. The wall you have made killed the man's brother. You have murdered a man. We have to punish you." So as soon as the merchant appeared, the king asked his name and said, "Were you at house as when the thief was burgling your house?" So the king didn't see that the man who has been dead, it was a thief. He just only seen that he is dead and the merchant should be punished, whose wall is broken and fell on him. So he is not seeing that the died man is a thief. He is just seeing that the man who is dead is a guilty person. Lord, said the helpless merchant, "I didn't put up the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the wall. He didn't build the wall right. You should punish him." "Who is that, my lord? This wall was built in my father's time. I know the man. He is an old man. He lives nearby." The king sent out his messengers to bring the bricklayer who had built the wall. They brought him tied hand and foot. You there? Did you build the man's wall in his father's time? Yes, my lord, I did. What kind of a wall is this that you built? It was fallen on a poor man and killed him. You have murdered him. You have to punish. We have to punish you by death. Everyone was passing on the blame to another person. When the king was about to pass an order to execute the bricklayer, he requested the king to listen to him. He agreed that he did not make the wall properly, but it wasn't the fault of him. It was a fault of a dancing girl who was roaming around in the street and her anklets were making a jingling sound. Due to her anklets jingle, he couldn't concentrate on his work, so he built a weak wall. It was not his mistake, it was a mistake of the girl. He added that he knew that where the dancing girl lived, she should be punished instead of him. So now the full story is coming towards the deep ends. The story is deepening and deepening. It's going inside and inside. So then the bricklayer requested to listen to him to the king. So the king listened to the bricklayer and he said, "What do you want?" The king bricklayer reads out the story of him own. So he said that on that day a girl was roaming on the streets, and because of a anklets jingle, his anklets jingle were making a jingling sound. So that's why he was distracted by that jingling sound and he could not concentrate on the work. So he built a weak wall. It was not his mistake, it was the fault of the girl. So she should be punished instead of him. So he also added in his words that he knew where the girl lived. So the king said, "You are right. The case deepens. We must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated cases. Let's get the dancer. Where she is." So then the king said that where the dancer is, we should get her. So now the dancing girl had become an old woman, and she was trembling as she entered the court. The king asked her that many years ago was she dancing and roaming around in the lane where the bricklayer was constructing the wall. Her movement distracted him. She confirmed him. He told that it wasn't roaming because of to make a jingling sound. It distracted the bricklayer. Due to this, he could not do his work properly. He built a bad wall which fell on the thief and he was killed. It was because of her that the thief died and she should be punished with death. So then the dancing girl has entered the court tremblingly. So then the king asked that many years ago you were dancing and roaming around the lane where the bricklayer was constructing the wall. She said that yes, my lord, I was moving there, but wasn't my fault. She confirmed him that I was moving there and my anklets jingle sound make the bricklayer distracted. Due to this, he couldn't make a strong wall. He made a bad wall, and that wall fell on the thief and the thief was killed. It was because of her, so the king said that you should be punished with death. But Now she thought for a minute and said, "My lord, wait! I know why I was walking up and down that street. I had some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelries for me. He was a lazy scoundrel. He made so many excuses." She said, "Would it give it now? He would give it then, and so on all day. He made me walk up and down to his house a dozen times." Then she thought for a minute, the dancing girl thought for a minute and said, "My lord, wait, I have my story to tell why I was roaming that street in up and down, and my jingling sound of my anklets were making. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make the jewelry, but that lazy scoundrel means a dishonest person, so that the dishonest goldsmith had making many excuses that he will give the jewelry now, then, and so on all day. So she was just walking to have the gold and she could wear that jewelry. But the lazy scoundrel was not making her jewelry quickly. He was making a delay of time and days and so on all. That was when the bricklayer saw me. "It was not my fault, my lord. It's that damned goldsmith's fault." "Poor thing, she absolutely right," thought the king, weighing the evidence. "We have got the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith. Where is he hiding at once?" Then the king said that we have found the real culprit. The goldsmith is the real culprit, so we will give him a death sentence. So now we should find him where he is hiding. So then the king Bali searched for the goldsmith, who was hiding in a corner of his shop. When he heard that accusation is against him, so he has its own story to tell. Then the goldsmith, when he searched the goldsmith, then the king's belly searched the goldsmith. He was hiding in a corner of the shop because he knew that and he heard that accusation is against him. So he was having his own story to tell to the king's belly to save him. So now see what is his story. "Who is the rich merchant who kept you from finishing the poor man's gold jewelry?" Made her walk up and down, which distracted the bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall, which has now fallen on an innocent man and killed him. Can you name him?" The king then asked the rich merchant that who is the man that was making a delay in the poor man's jewelry to make, and that is why it is make the mess of the wall, and a wall has fallen on the innocent man and killed him. He said, "My lord, I am a poor goldsmith. It's true I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I could not finish her making jewelry work. Before I finished the rich man's merchant's order, they had a wedding coming and they would not wait. You know how impatient rich men are." Then the goldsmith has his own story. Now the story of the goldsmith was that I knew that the dancer was coming to my door dozen times. But I couldn't do anything because a rich man's merchant's jewelry I was making and they had a wedding coming. And you know how impatient rich men are. So what can I do? The goldsmith said that the merchant was the same merchant whose house has fallen down. Justice has come full circle. Means the story ended at the same person from it had been started. The king died under the wall of the same merchant whose jewelry was the goldsmith was making. Once again the merchant called. He was crying. He knew that the king was foolish and he would give him a death sentence. He said it was not him. He ordered the jewelry, but it was his father. So now the goldsmith called and said that you are the real culprit. You should be punished. But he was crying and saying that he was not there. His father had ordered the jewelry. He was crying because he knew that the king was foolish and he would give him a death sentence. His father was dead, and it was none of his fault. But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively. It's true, your father is the true murderer. He's dead, but somebody must be punished. In this place, you have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his riches as well as his sins. I knew that all at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were at root this horrible crime. You must die. So the king said that if your father has been the real culprit, so you should be punished because you have inherited everything from your father, all her riches and her sins. So he said you should be punished instead of your father. So now the real culprit, he said, the real culprit are you, the rich merchant's son.